In this video, we will discuss about P53 gene normal function, and in case of cancer, that is the mutation of P53, and what are its implications, how it reacts. So let us start with the general function. General function of P53 gene is to decide whether the abnormalities in the cell are curable or not. If they are curable, it will uh, it will prevent the apoptosis of the cell and uh, increase the genes that are responsible to repair the or cure the abnormalities. For example, in case of DNA damage, this wild type P53 will see whether this DNA damage is repairable or not. If it is repairable, it will uh, overexpress this P21 gene that will lead to cell arrest cycle. And why this is required? This is required to avoid spread of damaged DNA across the host, because if cell cycles continues to go with damaged DNA, then it might lead to spread across different cells and then later into the host. So this is the first step that or this is the one of the important step that wild type P53 takes place whenever it observes DNA damage. And if the DNA damage is above, and at the same time it will also uh, promote genes that can cure this DNA damage, or that can repair this DNA damage. And if the DNA damage is unrepairable, then it will promotes the gene that is PUMA, that finally leads to apoptosis of the cell. So this will prevent the spread of this DNA damage uh, around the host or across the host. However, in case of cancer cells, if P53 mutant works, the mutation in the P53 results in change of the functioning of P53. So there are two examples that are shown here. One is CMYC and TERT genes. These genes are responsible for drug resistance. So uh, if these kind of genes are overexpressed, then the cells will become drug resistant. So in this case when the P53 mutant, this kind of P53 mutant uh, absorb any kind of stress, leads to it will lead to overexpression of this genes CMYC and TERT, that leads the characteristic of the cell in such a way that it will resistance towards drug. It will get resistance towards drug, and we know that most of the cancer cells has several different mutations, and one of them the mutation is DNA damage. So cancerous cell was always in stress, and and if this P53 mutants are also there in a way that it promotes drug resistance genes, then this condition will prevent the cells from getting infected or affected by the drugs, or such as anti-cancer drugs. So let us now understand how this DNA damage works slightly in detail. So in normal case, this P53 is not phosphorylated, and because it is bind to it is bind to a different cofactor. So, and this in case of DNA damage, or in case of DNA damage, what happens is ATM is phosphorylated at 1981 sequence when we count from N terminal, and it is phosphorylated at serine, which is present at 1981 sequence in ATM gene, and this leads to phosphorylation of P53 serine P53 at a 15 position from N terminal site where serine is present, and this phosphorylation will promote this BAX and PUMA gene that leads to apoptosis. If DNA damage is uncontrollable, that decision is taken by 53, and these things will get enhanced when with the help of gene run X3, and as in case of DNA damage, this Ranaxri will also promote P53, encourage P53 to promote this Bugs or Puma gene, and this has been confirmed by studying two different kinds of cells. One is P53 proficient cells and another is P53 deficient cells. In case of P53 deficient cells, the impact of RNX3 is not much observed in case of DNA damage. However, in case of P53 proficient cells, impact of RNX3 is observed significantly. So from this study, it comes to the knowledge that RNX3 also plays a role in P53, uh, also plays a role during DNA damage to promote apoptosis with the help of P53. So, however, in most of the cancerous cell, it has been observed that not most of the cancerous cell, in some of the cancerous cell, it has been observed that RNX3 also uh, also works in a negative manner, that is to promote cancerous cells because of the mutation in the P53 that promotes drug resistance genes instead of diverting it towards apoptosis. So this is how P53 plays a role in cancer promotion in case of mutation. However, it works towards controlling cancer if there is no mutation in P53. Or not just mutation, it prevents in any abnormalities that goes out of control, or most of the abnormalities that goes out of control will be taken care of by P53 gene. So that's all for this video. Thank you for your time.